All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're talking the police beat with Kamala Harris.
Oh, gotta be careful of that.
On this episode of America's Most Wanted, Most Imprisoned, and Most draconianly taken in by the state, Cody, I can't even talk about this because I have a bias. So maybe you should just take over this episode really fast and tell us what's going on.
All right. So, because I'm a crazy person who can just be nice to someone for 5 minutes, we'll talk about for a second here. Kamala Harris. I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware by now that Kamala Harris has officially dropped out of the 2020 presidential election. In her little, conciliatory, I don't know. I don't think she's made the official statement, but it's official. Sources have confirmed. This is what's really fascinating too. I want to highlight one little quick thing about the Kamala Harris thing is Harris told aides of her intentions in an all-staff call on Tuesday, and a person familiar with the conversation said she sounded distraught, I'm sure. While Harris had qualified for the December debate in her home state later this month, she was running dangerously low on cash, as we covered yesterday, lacking the resources to air TV ads in Iowa, and her staff was gripped by long-running internal turmoil. All true. The biggest thing I want to highlight there, though, which is fascinating, there's a debate coming up in like a few weeks in California, her home state. And she dropped out. You think you limp to the...
That does surprise me. I thought she'd hold on.
Yeah, limp to the debate, and maybe you have some Hail Mary debate appearance. Yeah. Now, we'll show you guys a little bit. We've talked a lot about why Kamala. It's not surprising that she dropped out. And really, we're not going to spend too much time talking about the fact that she's out of the race, because I don't think too many people are really that surprised. You can see she tweeted that right here. I'm suspending my campaign today, and she's dropped out. I mean, I believe officially she's no longer going to continue her campaign. We talked yesterday about a couple things. One, that she's completely broke, can't hire staff, can't run ads. Two, that she might have been one of the many candidates who fell prey to a interesting business idea to draw money from donations to candidates. We did a video about it yesterday. But, I mean, no funds, just really hurting in the polls. I mean, she was at one point a top-tier candidate for like 4 or 5 days, and then that ended. I think I have an article right here. I do. Check this one out. Let me make it a little easier for you guys to read, but spoiler, yesterday.
That is just disheartening.
Well, this came out yesterday, right? Bloomberg overtakes Harris in new poll, and I have a thing right here. And you can see Bloomberg is at 6%. Now, while I think this is also important to kind of show you guys something else, too. You'll notice in this graphic where they have Bloomberg at 6%, Kamala Harris is at 2%, Andrew Yang is also at 2%, right? The difference is that Kamala Harris has been polling at 12% at one point.
Yeah.
And it's been falling and falling.
She's on her way down. He's on his way up.
No, he's holding. He's still waiting for that bump. I mean, there hasn't been... Eventually, every campaign gets some kind of bump, and then we see what happens. I mean, we saw it happen with Kamala Harris, where she went out to 12, 14%. At one point, it was like third, and now she's announced she's no longer running. But again, there's not too much more to say here. The campaign's been in trouble for a while. I don't think either of us are Kamala fans. I haven't met many Kamala fans. I will say, when we went to the Democrat dinner in Nevada, there was supporters there. I mean, she wasn't new. There was Kamala supporters, but
was it part of their parole, or did they, was it, something she'd instituted into their probation?
Yeah,
or
part of your plea deal before, like 4 years ago. Yeah. That was the thing. For the next 10 years, you have to support me in every.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wouldn't put it past Kamala to say, we caught you with a dime bag,
or the inverse.
Therefore,
you're innocent, but
yeah, there's genetic information that would exonerate you from death row.
Anyway, I'm not going to get into
but
this.
But if you just become a member of my campaign...
Wait, come on, hold on. Because we can just say bad things about Kamala forever. We already have. Her record's well known, but this is what I want to talk about. And I think actually that was a great segue into what I want to talk about. I think it's interesting. Now, Andrew Yang...
You won't even let me rip on Kamala.
Like
Kamala.
On all days today, you're going to rip on her? She just embarrassingly announced she won't even bother showing up to the debate in her home state because she's so out of the race. I'll give her a couple hours, but check this out. Andrew Yang, I guess, had just kind of happened to be speaking with the media around the time it went public. So we actually have Andrew's thoughts on Kamala Harris dropping out of the race. And there's some interesting stuff in here. So I'm going to play this for you guys really quickly. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about what we saw or what we heard from Andrew. And I believe he's in New Hampshire, right now. Either way, here we go.
Been with Kamala dozens of times now on the trail. I'd consider her a friend. We have each other's cell phone numbers and text occasionally. and it makes me very sad to see her drop out. She has a lot to offer the country. It's more human than people think. I'm going to miss seeing her a great deal.
It's a long way to go, but would you consider her, if you win the nomination, is she somebody you would maybe consider as a running mate?
I would 100% love to work with Kamala in some capacity. We have a lot of problems to solve in this country, and she's going to be part of the solution, I'm sure.
Okay, so I mean, obviously the lead there is Andrew Yang possibly hints at Yang Kamala ticket. I don't think so. I think again he's just trying to be nice, but that was interesting. And before we get to that, I want to go over one more thing. So
Okay.
I know you have a lot to say, so I want to make sure we have everything to talk about first, and just then we can talk about it. This is what I wanted to highlight because Andrew Yang brought up a really interesting point. He's brought this point up before in the past. I guess I'll show you guys when he brought this point up in the past, actually. He tweeted out just before the debates in November. He said, I miss Beto. And somebody asked him, what do you mean by I miss Beto?
I miss the draconian guy who wants to forfeit all firearms to the state.
He made the same point he made with Kamala, and it honestly makes sense. He said, look, like I go to these events all the time. And I run into these people all the time. And what do you know? They're probably nice to each other because they're probably not all evil people always. And they're probably pretty cordial. And it's like he said, you go to 4 or 5 of these debates and you look up and you always see Beto there and you come one day and he's not here. It's weird. I think same thing with Kamala. He's like, I go to these events, I go to these debates, I go to these dinners, I go to these speeches and these meetings, and I've seen Kamala there and she's always been very kind to me. And now she's not going to be there. I think, and again, I always say, like, if there's ever a time to be nice to someone, it's like when they're at their lowest, because why not? It makes you look better. It makes them, they're not going to feel any better either way. If you dunk on them, they're going to care. She just embarrassingly admitted a defeat. Like, why not be nice? And speaking of, Andrew Yang has made a bit of a habit. I mean, sticking with humanity first, I'm going to go through a few. I want to see what you have to say about these. The Beto one, like I said, I get the idea of him saying, I've been to 4 or 5 of these debates. Beto's always there. Now he isn't. It's just weird him not being there. But check out this one as well. We have, this was before Jay Inslee dropped out. But again, this is an incomplete list. He has done a lot of stuff like this in the past. So I just want to highlight Andrew Yang being nice to his opposition today. Jay Inslee has led the charge on addressing climate change for years. He is right. This issue will define the century and the world we leave to our children. So glad he's in the race. He'll move us in the right direction. I believe March 1st, this was like weeks before Jay Inslee dropped out. So it was close to him not being in the race anymore. But there we go. Another one. I have another one here for you guys.
Okay.
This was I think that honestly, Cory Booker and Andrew Yang are just friends at this point. I think they've done joint interviews after debates together. Right, but I think they're just being friendly. I like it. I can see it on your face. You're like, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of like in like sports. There's like the old school people who are like, I don't like any of this friend. Like they should hate each other. And the new school people like exchange jerseys after games. And like I can kind of see it here. Some people are like, no, he should be like adversarial.
Well, as much as I throw up a little bit in my mouth when I hear him saying good things about these horrible people.
Horrible people. Okay,
Just kidding. I shouldn't say horrible people, just God's children with really bad ideas. But I do have to say I this is why I like outsiders in politics so much, because I do jest in a lot of my responses about these people, and it's generally a response to the people's policies, not these people. And I think that's why having new fresh blood in politics is so important, because Americans have a problem. We have a competency problem in our leaders, all right? But we also don't forget. And Andrew Yang is coming to the political scene with zero baggage. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been tainted by the knowledge that, Kamala sent all these people to prison and all these old battles. So he can kind of address it with fresh eyes, forge new friendships, make new friends, keep the old, It's good to see these people, the unmentionables, you know what I'm saying, viewed through a more
politicians
fresher
a dirty
lens.
enough word. You could just call them politicians,
These politicians.
That's a derogatory enough word. No, but here we go. You want to talk about how nice of a guy Jang is to his fellow candidates? He sided with Eric Swalwell and Fartgate.
Oh.
That's a nice guy, man.
Well,
That's
saying
nice
I
guy.
believe in Eric Swalwell as I think just like a general statement of support, not saying I believe he didn't fart.
I mean, he says he believes take it as you will. I take it as a support. So you want, like I said, you want to stand up for someone after Lois.
I gotta tell you, if you think that Eric Swalwell didn't fart, then I don't think you have as much.
You'll notice he didn't say that.
to a love of the scientific method.
He didn't say he didn't believe you didn't. He just said I believe in Eric Swalwell. But there we go. There's a few more.
Well, that's funny. Like that's something I would say though.
Oh, yeah. And then also I wanted to bring it up because, of course, today when Kamala Harris did announce, Andrew Yang tweeted, he said, "I'm stunned Kamala Harris suspending her campaign. She's one of my favorite people to share time with on the trail. So warm, smart, fiery, and a true public servant. She offered my family help and guidance when she didn't need to. Kamala, I will see you soon." That almost sounded a little bit kind of like an obituary at the end, like, see you on the other side. You know what I mean? It was a little bit weird how we kind of wrapped it up, but, and then look, a very nice picture. Again, these people are friendly with each other. They don't hate each other. They're just running against.
Well, in Versailles, all the people that were oppressing the French, they loved each other. The Count loved the Duchess, and the Duchess got along with the Queen.
So who's Andrew Yang then?
I got to tell you right now, you know exactly who he is? Who's the musketeer that Alexander Dumas wrote about that made his way into the royalty by fighting? He was an outsider.
The fourth musketeer?
No, come on. He was the father of D'Artagnan.
I have to admit, my musketeer knowledge is zero.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up.
I probably know more about the Mouseketeers than the Musketeers. But,
okay, keep going.
I would say I would argue with Andrew Yang that he is you know what? Perhaps true public servant is the most apt way to describe Kamala Harris and her tenure as prosecutor for the state of California. She was a true server of the public. Should I serve my fellow man and release him from jail? Or should I serve the public and keep him as labor? Yeah. I will serve the public. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to spend too much doing the Kamala grave dancing because
D'Artagnan. I was right. D'Artagnan.
Just because I personally saw Kamala Harris dropping out for a very long time. I'm not surprised. I figured it was going to happen at some point. A little surprised she didn't go for the Hail Mary at the debate. I figured she would just say, "I'll limp to the debate." And, whatever happens, whatever happens. I can go on stage, say whatever I want. My campaign's basically done. Maybe I could try to save it. The fact that she didn't want to do that, I'll get a little bit speculative here now. Just saying, I could see a world where Kamala Harris was basically trying to spare herself the experience, let's say, of having to go to her home state, perhaps perform poorly at another debate, and then embarrassingly bow out the next day.
Yeah, and have a million people outside, having the African-American community protesting the mass incarceration of like 1,000 people a year.
Not even that
she reigned in her home state.
Not even that. Just you don't.
While she's reminding us all that she's a woman of color.
Yeah, but you just don't want to go home. You don't want to go to California, bomb, and drop out when you could just drop out now. I think is what's happening. Because
if you don't believe in yourself.
If California was truly your home state and she got like your typical home state support, she wouldn't. But it's not.
Yeah.
We highlighted months ago that Andrew Yang is a pastor in some California polls, like months ago. I mean, It's been bad for a while. It's again though, I don't want to dance too much on the grave of Kamala Harris because I don't think this surprises really anyone. I know Andrew Yang said he was shocked. The only shocking thing that I do want to talk about was the fact that Andrew Yang didn't. I mean, again, give me the quote here. When asked if he'd consider, actually that quote's inaccurate. When asked if he'd consider Kamala as a running mate, he said, "I 100% would love to work with Kamala in some capacity."
But that seemed euphemistic, not necessarily, an endorsement of the idea.
No, it
seemed like he didn't want to say, "Nah, I don't really see what's in it for me. She would only bring an extra 1.5%, and if I needed it, I'd probably choose somebody better."
Again, he's being nice.
He's being nice.
He could easily say, "Why would I want that loser on my staff?" Right? He could easily say that.
I completely credit Andrew Yang with being very kind, and to a certain extent, it warms my soul. It gives me a little bit of the warm fuzzies because as a Christian, I believe in redemption. And it's a lot easier to seek redemption from people that look at you with fresh eyes. That's why I think, going to a new school sometimes can be a good thing. Going to a new college or to a new neighborhood or moving and having these fresh starts are very important for people because fresh eyes view you in a different way. Okay, with a much more positive benefit of the doubt than other people that knew your mistakes in the past. And part of me looks at this and thinks, you know what? If Andrew Yang can get along with these people that well, there must be more redeeming qualities in them than I see. Because when I see Kamala, I think, everything the founding fathers hoped attorney generals wouldn't become. You know what I'm saying?
I think what's scarier is that what the tenure of her was probably a lot closer to what your average attorney general tenure's like. And I just think that's probably closer to what we could expect from most prosecutors is what we saw with her in California. I think that's closer. It's just the fact is most attorney generals or most state prosecutors like that aren't running for president, so we don't look at the records as closely. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I just have to imagine, because I just know one thing. The United States, every state in this country, love it or hate it, has weird sentencing laws and there's openings to get totally screwed by the courts always. And the courts screw people always. I mean, it's one of those things like, look, I don't like weighing in too much of some of this stuff, but it's like one of those things like when it's like, yeah, like police legitimately harass people every day. They help people every day. They save people every day, but they harass people every day. It goes both ways. You know what I mean? And just more of it. I think there's more prosecutors like her than we like to think, which isn't good, right? But
yeah, but at least they're not claiming to be the embodiment of liberalism. And I mean, I don't know. Look,
Kamala never actually really necessarily.
I know she's your gal.
No, but she never claims to be that either.
Okay, look, I know she's your gal.
I'm just saying, I think she was more openly authoritarian than you're giving her credit for. I think she was more openly like, yeah.
She was open, laughing in the faces of reporters that were asking her if she would pardon nonviolent criminals when the laws change.
Yeah.
And just laughing at them.
Because she, anyway.
I mean, Disney makes villainous characters out of people that laugh at the poor that have been in prison.
You know, I got really good news for you.
Yes.
Kamala Harris dropped out today. So she's no longer running for president. So you don't have to be concerned about what she did 10 years ago as a prosecutor anymore. I'm glad. And I wanted to highlight, I thought it was a good time to highlight that Andrew Yang is. And he's made multiple tweets throughout. I mean, I still think the one that stands out to me, standing with Eric Swalwell and Fartgate, that's a big one, man. But just over time, he's really been pretty generous to other candidates he's been running with.
Like I said, if Andrew Yang can see this,
I think he tweeted out when Michael Bloomberg left, Bill de Blasio. Which, by the way, polls said that Bill de Blasio, of everyone who's ran as a Democrat in 2020, was the least liked. So people who've dropped out, still running, it was de Blasio among Democrats is the least liked. So even de Blasio, Andrew Yang was like, hey, Bill's a good guy. I'm glad he ran. Like, he always says this. Not saying it's the most unique thing ever, but I do think it is worth highlighting because a lot of times people hear Kamala Harris drops out, and especially someone like Kamala, who used to poll 4 or 5 times higher than Andrew Yang, who now is dropping out before him. It's easy to want to be like, yeah, but at the end of the day, man, like it's a very embarrassing and humiliating day for these people, and for the most part, I can just live with their admitting defeat and moving on. Because you know what? No offense, John Delaney's still running. If Kamala Harris can't win, can Wayne Sestick? Is it Wayne Sestick?
Oh, poor guy.
No offense to these people, but
if we're asking how to pronounce their names.
My point being, though, yeah, exactly. If Kamala Harris is dropping out, why are these people that have nowhere to go not dropping out? I don't understand fully. Because again, remember, here's the other weird thing too. Going back to that poll I showed you guys a few minutes ago from I believe it was from The Hill, where Michael Bloomberg passed Kamala or Kamala. Kamala? Is it
not Kamala. It's Kamala Harris.
I'm
but everybody says Kamala, and I doubt she has a problem with it because nobody can pronounce my name either. Okay. So all of us that have weird names, we just get used to like 3 or 4 iterations of our names. You can call me Cardon. You can call me Carlos. You can call me Carter, Cardigan, Carson, Gordon, Carmen. All of it I take as long as you're just in the ballpark of starting with a K and ending with an N. So she probably doesn't care whether she gets called Kamala or Kamala.
Yes. I just thought, again, big takeaways. Kind of went over this, but big takeaways is Mrs. Harris dropping out before appearing at the debate.
Ms. How dare you assume her gender?
What? Doesn't make any sense.
Oh wait, no, she did state that her pronouns were his and her.
Yeah.
But we don't know if she's married, right? So you say Ms. if you don't know their marital status, I thought. Whatever.
Former California Attorney General Harris, former AG Harris. Anyway, I mean, I thought it was interesting that she had secured a spot. I mean, Andrew Yang hasn't secured a spot to this debate yet. She had, and she dropped out. Very interesting. Again, perhaps not wanting to make that embarrassing moment more, like not rubbing salt on the wound. Perhaps anecdotal, or not anecdotal. It's me projecting. I have no idea why she would do it. But if she sounded distraught on the phone and did not want to go back to California for the debate she qualified for in her home state, I have to imagine she wasn't too excited toward the prospects of it. But there we go. Andrew Yang, basically, big takeaway here: Andrew Yang, great guy all the time. Humanity first. Is there a better way, Cardin? Is there a more humanity first way of approaching your campaign than defending your fellow candidates during trying times as Fartgate and when they drop out of elections? I think that's a humanity first move.
I give Andrew Yang credit where credit is due. I wish that I aspire to have a more Christ-like vision of my fellow children of God. And it seems like Andrew Yang and possibly my co-host Cody Como are a little bit better at doing this than I am. So I commend Andrew Yang for his kindness, especially in his verbiage on Twitter about his fellow Democrats, something I accept that I struggle with.
It's not that hard. Just to be nice to people. Just be nice.
Oh, no. Some people aren't people.
Oh, no. There we go. Well, I guess the true answer then is that
I have effectively dehumanized my enemies.
I was about to say the true answer then is that you're just not nice. You're just a mean person. I guess for mean people it's hard to be anyway. So we've established Cardin's a mean person. But I got some better news for you guys. It's not about mean people.
Not mean.
I guess we can argue semantics later. But
please tag us in anything you want us to see. Any video ideas you got, we'll take them. You can DM us there, although DMs are not as effective as just plain old tagging us, we found. Also, make sure if you want to pick up a hat, you go to problemsolverpolitics.com. And if you want to contribute to the channel, thank you so much to our contributors. You guys keep this alive and make it so we can keep making more and more and more videos and more content for you guys on the Andrew Yang campaign and beyond. You can follow the link that is in the description of this video to make sure that you contribute to the channel there. Or you can just make sure that you... gosh, we actually have no other methods. I forgot. We haven't set up those other methods yet. So, yeah. PayPal in our description.
Support the Lakers. Support the Lakers. Support the